Okay, welcome to another one of our football insights from our Glyndor University football coaching and performance specialist degree. Today, delighted to welcome Tony Merola. So Tony's an ex-student at Glyndor now, currently coaching in the good old US of A. And so Tony's going to have a quick chat with us today just around his journey, his coaching journey, obviously an ex-student at Glyndor, and how he came up to be in America. So welcome, Tony. Thanks for agreeing to come on, mate. Hope you're well.
Yeah, no, very well, thank you.
Good, mate. So I suppose we'll just kick off the chat really in terms of a bit of a background. I know obviously we go back a long way, being from the same village up in near Moulds. I mean, and I remember you growing up as a very, very good football player. I know you had a good career as well. So a little bit of your background, your playing career, and then kind of, I know you went into and worked in industry for a bit and then came out of it. So just a little bit around that and your pathway into where you are today, really.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Appreciate it. And yeah, we do go back a long way. I remember kicking the ball in Leeds with the streets, in the streets with you and stuff, and used to play used to play out until it was, as late as possible and dark. So they were the good old times of street football, should I say. I said street football and not street soccer, living in America. But literally, my career, as football was everything to us in the blood. It was in my blood, and everything from just playing in the streets and playing for under 14 team. And I actually spent my schoolboy years at Wigan Athletic at the time, which was at the time a little bit difficult, getting over there from North Wales. And luckily at the age of 16, literally a month or so before we started the YTS program at the time, the late Cliff Sear brought me into Wrexham. We had a couple of games, and luckily for me, I got offered a 2-year scholarship, which at the time, was fantastic. Spent 2 years at Wrexham cleaning boots and cleaning the stadium and learning the trade. And then luckily making my first team debut at 17 over in Ireland, and then getting a professional contract at 18. It was literally a day before my 18th birthday. So nearly 10 years ago. Well, almost 20 years ago, actually, when I think about it. So, played with some great players. Really wasn't at the level I thought I should have been at as a player. But when I look back and I was competing with the likes of, I think Wrexham actually got in 1992 their, one of their first promotions in many years up to what it is now League One, competing with the likes of, Steve Watkin and Gary Bennett and Jonathan Cross and all these types of different players. It was a great learning experience, and learning from Joey Jones and Brian Flynn, Kevin Reeves at the time. It was a really good learning curve. But things certainly went down south quickly, because I literally think making my first team debut at such a young age, I actually think that went against me, because I actually thought I made it. I thought I was going to go on to be playing the Premier League, which at the time I was playing with a gentleman called Brian Hughes, who was the first £1 million player at Wrexham. He went to Birmingham for £1 million. I think I went to Rill on a free transfer, so that's no disrespect to Rill, because at the time they're a really good team, and it was just that's where our pathways went. And if I'm honest, Chris, and to people who are watching this, it didn't really hurt me enough leaving Wrexham at the age of 18. I just wanted a normal job, a full-time job, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, go out with my friends on the weekend. And after about 6 months of leaving Wrexham, well, I didn't leave. My contract never got renewed. I found myself in Airbus, working there for 9 years. And the first 6 months was really difficult, because it was just like, I've missed a real opportunity. I still wanted to be involved in the game. I played a lot of games, semi-professionally. I did a round, like I said, at Rill. Did a little bit of Connorskey, Portmaddock, Ruddermoon. At the time, we were a really good, successful village team in the Crumbie Alliance. And at the age of 29, I think I was, I ruptured my Achilles tendon, actually playing for Airbus, where we were working at the time. Recovered from that, made a comeback, and literally within 3 weeks, my opposite Achilles tendon ruptured. So I think somebody upstairs was telling me to obviously stop playing. I was getting slower by the year anyway. So that really sort of finished me off, and that's where I sort of had a second light into like coaching at Mold Alex at the time as a player manager, just for 7 games to finish the season off. I think that's somewhere where you played as well, Chris. You know, I'm sure you had, you know, a little bit of a successful time there. I didn't want to do it, but literally the guy who was doing it was a friend of mine, and I owed it to him as a favour just to finish the season off for 7 games. And I got a good response from the players. And I always remember my very first coaching session. I thought I was Bill Shankly or Alex Ferguson. I thought I was brilliant. I look back now and I go, it was terrible. It was rubbish. But I sort of got a response from the boys, and that's how I got drugged into coaching, really. And the beauty of it being a player manager, and I'm hoping none of the players I work with will be watching this right now, but the beauty of being that was if it was raining but it was too cold, I was the player manager, I'd put myself on the bench, or if the opposition looked a little bit mean, I wouldn't play. But if it was a nice sunny day, I'd sort of utilise it to my advantage. But yeah, that's literally, you know, in a nutshell, how I got to where I was. Did I fulfil my potential? Probably not. Which is why now, right, you know, being in coaching and working with kids, and we'll get there shortly, is that's where I want to put back into it, because I think I sort of failed at that age because I wasn't dedicated enough, should I say.
You know, it's a real interesting path that you've taken. And at Glendor, we have a lot of mature students who often find themselves in an industry, obviously like yourself, where you're working at Airbus, and they also have that sort of a epiphany moment where they decide they're going to change their life and change their jobs. And I know, you know, after you finished at Airbus, I know you were working at different clubs. You came to us here at Glendor and started your degree. Tony, what was the thinking behind that career change? So obviously you've been in Airbus for 9-10 years, working there, obviously on shifts, and kind of got your life settled and was playing part-time and managing and coaching part-time. What made you decide to have a complete change of career, if you like, and come into university to gain a qualification?
Two major things that happened. Obviously, growing up as a young football player, you know, my grandfather used to take me everywhere. He'd come up to Leeswood and pick me up and take me over to, you know, over in Buckley. I used to play for Buckley and Bistry at the time. And he was a major influence on me as a young football player. And in 2006, he unfortunately passed away, and it sort of hit me like a bolt of lightning to say that, you know, you only have one opportunity here, one opportunity in life to really do something that you want to do. But I realized it was difficult to try and do some stuff in the UK because there was that many experienced and qualified coaches and experienced ex-players that were out there. So I wanted to sort of get into some type of coaching environment, but also I had a sister who I'm sure you know. I think you were at school with her.
Yeah, same class, Kelly. Yeah, same class. Yeah.
So, you know, for 5 or 6 years before my grandfather passed away, you know, I was coming over to America to visit her. She lived in Fort Worth, Texas. So I always remember just, you know, we were out on the patio one day, you know, just my brother-in-law was grilling. And I was, I'd love to be able to come to America and, you know, do something that you've done. And, you know, just looking at the coaching, the game was not really growing over here in 2007, 2008. Looked into it a little bit further and just realized that to come to America, you had to have, you know, your playing background and your coaching experience was not enough. You would have to get some type of academic background, some type of, you know, degree, because it helps with visas. You know, it really helps you get into the country. You have to make sure that you can do something that a local American person can't do. So I was like, right, you know, reached out to Glendor, seeing what courses they had available. Came in, met one of the tutors, and I just knew then right away. I think I was 31, 32. I just knew straight away as soon as I walked in, it had that feel about the place that I'm going to go back to school here. I'm going to learn, but knowing that the end goal for me was to get a degree, which was eventually going to help create a pathway for me in America. Did I know what was entailed into it? Because, you know, it's funny you say there's a lot of mature students there now. I think that I was surrounded by 20, 21-year-old, you know, students who could type looking the other way, where I was like looking for the A button and the T button to try and press it. So I had to do a lot of learning fast. But yeah, that's literally how I wanted to get into it. And I always wanted to educate myself and get better, because obviously being in school, I knew I was going to be at Wrexham. I knew I was going to get a full-time contract. So my schoolwork sort of suffered, because I was like, I'm going to be a professional. I'm going to be a footballer. I don't really need my education, my grades. But little did I know, 3 years later, I was going to fall flat on my face. So that's the pathway of getting into that, Chris.
Yeah. In terms of your degree, and you've touched on it there a little bit, obviously you came in and decided you wanted to come to Glendale. What sort of the modules that you did, Tone, and like you said, you've probably been out of education 31, 32, probably nearly 15 years in terms of when you left school to obviously join Wrexham. So what were sort of the modules that you undertook that were relevant to the role that you wanted to do? So obviously you had this plan to move into America, where you are now, but what sort of the modules that you found really relevant to your current role?
Well,
if you can remember that far back.
it was only a few years ago. Literally, it was there was at the time there was 2 pathways. There was two degrees to take. The one was the sports science side, and then the other one was a community development or a community sport development side. I didn't really want to come to America and be some type of sports scientist, and literally I can't count very well. That's why I've got no money. Don't tell the wife that. But I wanted to go down the other route. Sorry, sound American there. Route, and you know, people like yourself who were actually working in that environment right at the time, Chris. You know, looking up to people like yourself, and you know, other people that worked in Flintshire, working as a community football development officer and stuff. And I was thinking that would be a really good experience for me, and it would obviously help me get to where I wanted to get to in America. So looking back at some of the courses, and some of the modules, and we used to talk about dissertations and 2-1s and 2-2s. I actually thought a 2-2 was a bust of Brumbo at the time. I didn't know what it was. But I realised it was some type of grade. That's how far back that's how far behind I was. But some of the modules, some of the early day modules, really made me the word I'm looking for. They really made me think outside the box a little bit more. There was a lot of the research methods that we did, and especially in year 1 was good. How to research and how to find references, and making sure that plagiarism wasn't applied. And we did a lot of we had a lot of actual people that came in from outside the university, guest speakers that would come and do stuff, who were actually working in the real life. So a lot of the modules around principles of sport coaching was a huge one in year 1. We even did modules around the history of sports, so major sport and events. There was a module we did, a community sport development module, which you were allowed to actually go out in a 6-week placement and work in some type of sport development background. I think I went to the one in Flintshire at the time, because I know you were in Wrexham, and I didn't want to be with you, if I'm honest. I lived in Flintshire because the head offices were in Mold, and I was living in Mold, so it was fine. So I think having that experience through those modules of having the opportunity to go and see what it's like in the real life environment was invaluable for me, really.
Just on that, you talked about the real life environment. Now, one of the football coaching degree that we currently offer at Glendale, we have a link with our key partner, the FAW, which you've be well aware of. And one of the things we offer our students is they undertake their coaching badges as part of the degree. So not only do they get a degree, but they get their UEFA, FAWC and UEFA B as part of the course. Now, I know that's something that you've been through with the FAW in terms of your own coach education pathway. I just, how beneficial, one, obviously, did you find the coach education courses with the FAW? Because I know it's something you've been through yourself, and the second one really is applying that in the field that you're currently working as well, because you're getting the qualifications but also getting the experience as well. I just wonder if you could talk to the students about that really.
I think it's whoever come up with that idea, or whoever made that relationship between Glyndŵr and FAW. If it was you, Chris, give yourself a pat on the back, because
it wasn't.
or it wasn't. Well, yeah. Before
my time, but no, it's a fantastic link. Yeah, it's a very good link.
Yeah, it would have, to combine the both. I probably struggled in year 2 because I was actually doing my B license and year 2, and it was literally like doing 2 separate degrees, because it's not just, you don't just think that by doing the B license, and fortunately I completed my A license last year. It's not just the on-field stuff that you do. There's a lot of theory, there's a lot of practical, there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of preparation. There was a good correlation when I was at Glyndŵr University between the two. There was a lot of crossover at times, but to have both, to be able to do a degree or also obtain your B license, I think is really invaluable to students. And I wish I wish that I could have done that when I was there, because it would have saved me, so much time. And I think that it's invaluable. I don't know of many universities, and I spread the word over here in Texas and in Oklahoma where I work of the projects and combining the two, and it's literally unheard of here in America. So I think it's invaluable. It's a great partnership. Knowing tutors from both Glyndŵr and the Welsh FA system, I think it's a fantastic idea.
Because in terms of your own current pathway, how much weight did that carry when you came to get? And we'll talk a little bit more about your current role, but how much weight did those coach education courses that you accrued in Wales? How much weight did they carry when you came over to America?
You're seen as sort of a because you'll find, what I found was a lot of coaches that would come over to America from the UK would either have a basic FA Leaders Award, or your C license, or working towards a B license, or they would have a degree. It was very rare when I first came over in 2011 that any type of coach would have a coaching license and an academic background. So for me, it's it pulled more weight, because it might be a disadvantage for me when I started at Glyndŵr because I was older and it took me longer to do stuff. But what it did give me, it gives you experience. So literally I had a lot of experience. I had academic background, and I had the coaching portfolio to go with it, as well. So to combine all three together gave me a lot of pulling power to not just come to America, but to actually come into a pretty high profile role. And in America you have an accent, but the game of the last couple of years over here, Chris, has grown really significantly. And I think having an accent 15, 20 years ago might have got a lot of British people good jobs. But right now, you have the way the game's gone, the way coaches in America, American coaches specifically, the way that they're falling in love with the game, sort of have to have that on-field experience of knowing how to deliver a session. And as soon as you mention you have a B license or an A license and you have some type of academic background, they sort of stand back and go, okay, right, this guy. And I can sort of still do a demonstration now and then, only when the wind's behind me and the wind's blowing. If you're going against the wind, I can't get out the penalty box.
You talked about moving to America in 2011. That brings us nicely now. Obviously, you've got your degree and you've got your coaching qualifications to the FAW. And kind of, I suppose, the next question really, Tony, is how did you find yourself in the position that you're in now? What was your path? And if you could just give us a little insight into that sort of pathway from managing and working part-time with your university degree, and obviously gaining your coach education qualifications, to then coming out to America. What was the pathway behind that? How did that happen?
I was over here on holiday, visiting my sister, and I just sort of researched, being a Liverpool supporter. I just sort of researched Liverpool in the area just to see if there were any. I think Liverpool were playing a game. I wanted to see if there were any local bars that were showing the game, and it came up Liverpool FC International Academy here in Dallas, Texas, and Jimmy Melia, who he's 82 now, he's still coaching. Played for Liverpool under Shankly. Shankly actually brought him in, so there's not many people that can give them stories. So we came over. Did a couple of sessions, met up with Jimmy, told him about my philosophy, and I actually hadn't I was on the verge of completing the degree. And literally, that's where everything started from there. Spoke to the owner of the club. They wanted to hire me immediately. I realised that, the visa process would take 3 to 4 months back then. And I went home and got a call. And basically they said in January of 15th or 16th, hey, listen, the visa process is ready. Can you come over? We're ready for you. And I was actually working at the Centre of Excellence at Wrexham at the time. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm in. I'll let Wrexham know when do you want me to come? And they were saying and then next Tuesday, right? Which was the best thing ever, because if they would have said, oh, come over in the summer, I might have had time to think about it. But literally, came over. We then forged an authentic partnership with Liverpool Football Club for the International Academy. So I coached a few teams. Obviously, they must have seen the value in what I can bring from an experience, and from the degree, and from the coaching qualifications. And that's where they offered me a position to build their junior academy over here, which overseeing like 6 to 10-year-olds. And then obviously within 12 months, Liverpool became that big over here. We branched out into 7 different states. So we had satellite centers all across the US. And I worked in conjunction with the Liverpool Football Club, their international academy side of it. And I was employed to help implement the Liverpool way, so to say, so the curriculum, and just try and bring a little bit of authenticity to the coaching program over here. So was it a little bit of luck? Yeah, but I had to do a lot of research, and like I said, just by having the academic background and the coaching qualifications, I can't stress it. That's valuable, but you still have to go out there and do a little bit of research and put yourself out there in the shop window, so to say.
You've talked about your work with Liverpool and obviously the way that you got you over to America in the first instance. I just wondered if you could give us a little insight, Tony, into kind of a daily role of yourself working now and the weekly role. So, for example, what you do from a day-to-day basis, the groups that you work with, the hours that you work, the teams that you coach, and their training program, their match program, just to give some of the students that are listening an insight into working abroad, really.
Yeah, well, like I said, for those students who've been to America, I did the job at Liverpool for almost 5 years, and then met my lovely wife. We had a baby. Wife had a really successful job over here, so I was basically daddy daycare for 2 years, but I couldn't fly every month to different affiliates, to different clubs in the US. So I sort of had to, I wouldn't say change my pathway a little bit, but just be closer to home so I could be with the baby, look after the baby. So right now, I've changed where I'm actually working for a club a football club in Tulsa, which is like a 4-hour commute from Dallas. And I oversee what they call the ECNL boys program, which is the highest level of boys play in America. ECNL stands for the Elite Clubs National League, but it's split out into conferences. We play in the Texas Conference. So my daily job, my daily work is literally on Mondays. It's all about planning and preparation. So I can do a lot of stuff from the office in Tulsa, or I can do a lot of it from home. So that includes, dealing with any parent issues, because the big difference in America, I'm not sure whether some of your students are aware, is that there's a pay to play system over here, that the parents have to pay for their son or daughter to be on a team, and it's not cheap. It ranges from £2,000 up to maybe £3,000 a year just to be on a team. So so there's a lot of things off the field that I deal with, any type of issues, or any types of game analysis on the Monday from what we've played on the Saturday or Sunday. And then normally we train on a Tuesday, Wednesday night. So we're on the field from 5:30 to 8:30. I actually coach 2 teams, so it gives me the opportunity to keep my hand in coaching. Some nights what we'll do is twice a month we'll have what we call a games night, where we have 2 teams in each age group, where we'll bring the teams in and we'll play some small-sided games. We normally have Friday off to do some not so much recovery, but just to make sure that, if we have to play a game on a Saturday and we're 7 hours away, some families will travel down on a Friday, play the game Saturday, Sunday. And then it just basically revolves again on the Mondays. So all my work on the field is done at night, because that's when the children are obviously, off school. And there'll be certain nights where I'll bring coaches in to deliver sessions on my team, or I will deliver a session with the oldest age group, and nobody else will practice. And then the coaches will then obviously come and watch a session delivered by myself, based on the type of team that we're potentially playing on the weekend. So in a nutshell, it's in the day, it's a lot of I wouldn't say a lot of downtime, but it's a lot of setting your own schedule in the day. But then at night, it's sort of 100 miles an hour.
You mentioned then, the 4-hour commute. I'm guessing that's one way. How does that's something that, if you look at our country in Wales, you can go from top to bottom in less than 4 hours. So how does that work? How do you find that? Because obviously that's a big commitment in itself. 8 hours to probably coach for maybe 2 or 3 hours. So how does that work with you?
You'll be surprised. The road is literally straight. You put it on cruise control or auto cruise, whatever you call it, and you put the Bluetooth on the car, and literally my car at times is my office, because the amount of calls that I make. I'm massive on communication. Talking to coaches and just asking, who did well on the weekend, who struggled. Do any players need to move up from the U14s to U15? So I say it is a 4-hour commute. But the amount of stuff that I can get done in that time is great. And petrol over here is pretty cheap as well, to be fair. So you don't mind doing that as much. Yeah. But just to, like I said, to be successful, to be in the job and the position that I've got. There were opportunities in Dallas, but I've literally started something 4 hours away that I want to complete. But it's about utilizing, and from experience, it's about utilizing that time. If I don't make phone calls, I'm sticking podcasts on, or anything that's gonna educate my brain a little bit further.
No, I appreciate your insight. It's fantastic. I mean, it's probably the last one from me. Really, is something that we're asking people who've been on these football insights, is to kind of give advice out to students. I mean, you're a fantastic example, really, of that mature student that we talked about, who's gone and had been a professional football player. Things haven't worked out, and you've obviously gone into an industry and worked in there, and then had that epiphany moment, maybe, where you've come out of it and got your coaching qualifications, got your academic qualifications, worked through your degree, and seen an opportunity and gone for it, grabbed it and taken it, which is fantastic. And was it any advice you would give to students who were looking at moving abroad or working abroad? Because I'm sure the students who will be listening to this that will have that in their brains, wherever that may be, whatever country. But obviously you're a living proof that it can work. And it's just any advice that you would give to them, really.
Yeah, the only bit of, well, not bit of advice, but I would start, if it's something that students are looking at doing, um, they have to start reaching out now. You've got to start building that resume, or your CV, your academic qualifications and the coaching qualifications will definitely help, but it's about what can you do that current people who are in this country cannot do. So if football's your sporting background and you've played, you really have to sell yourself, and just by playing, semi-professional, or even, to be fair, even if students have not played the game, as long as they have that academic background, as long as they have good grades from that as well, because sometimes what they might do is you come to America and you want to apply for a green card or a citizenship. It's really important that if you want to get another job while you're here in America, the grades that you get from your degree, they don't transfer as what they are in the UK into the US equivalent. So all I would say is don't just get through whatever grade you need to get just to tick that box. You have to go a little bit higher, because like I said, you don't know when they might get transferred into the US version. So for me, it would be just build that CV, make sure you start reaching out to people, to clubs. They can use me as a resource as much as they want, Chris. I'm happy to share. I'm happy to share, my email, or they can add me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and they can by all means, reach out to me there, because Glyndŵr they did the tutors, the university, they did so much for me in helping me get to where I am now. If I can repay them by just helping current students, or at least give them an indication or a pathway, I'm 100% happy to do that. I didn't have that when I was at the university, when I was there. Unfortunately, I had to do a lot of stuff on my own. But yet again, I can't help people if I'll be, I've got to redo my degree, but I'd like to go and work in America, or I might do my C license next year, or I might start my B. Well, obviously the C license is already built in. Am I correct in saying that? And the B license.
B, yeah. C and the B, yeah.
I think we lost you a little bit.
There you go, back in.
Yeah. So yes, like I said, all I would say would just get your degree, get as much experience as you can. If there's any volunteer courses, or if there's anything that you can do that's going to enhance you, do some extra online courses and stuff, or whatever you can do to build that resume, is vitally important.
No, it's brilliant, Tony. Look, it's been fantastic to talk to you and catch up and hear your story really, and your journey of where you've started, and back in those days of playing on the fields in Leeswood, and to where you've come to now, and the journey you've taken. And it's, like I said, there's lots of mature students within our population at Glyndŵr who would probably have similar hopes and aspirations as yourself. So really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us, and wish you all the best in your current roles over in America, and hopefully when you do come over, you can pop in and see us and do some guest lectures.
Of course, yeah, not a problem. I'd really enjoy that. It'd be good. So
thank you.
Always, no problem, mate. Always nice catching up. You take care of yourself.
Take care now. Bye.